let's see what we got going on here. Excellent connection. And it doesn't say we're live yet. Here we go. We're live. Hey, welcome to the Saturday or Sunday building stream. Let me transition this. Image. Oh, transition. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to make a mold buck for the top. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First thing I'm going to do, I did not buy a new piece here. I got too much crap here as it is. I mean, I could have thrown this out, but I don't know. Didn't want to waste the money. It's only $6, but $6 is McDonald's. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this crap off, and we'll scrape it up. I did, however, today, I went, we were at the Cold Cash Speed Bash. Mike Lonke showed up, which was kind of cool. Just as I was ready to leave, but John Jordan brought me the 64th plywood, so I put in the plywood floor in the tank compartment. I still need to cut these two pieces in here, so we'll be doing that and laying up the mold buck. John brought me some foam, so the only problem is here I don't have any way to hotwire it, so I'm going to have to do it the old way, which is the Spanish way, el manual. But that's okay. I'm used to el manual. Where is that other piece? Still have not cleaned up the thing yet. Oh well, no time. No time. Phil Myers, I'm happy to join your... Hey Phil, great. Hope you learned something. Clean up the tools here. I'm going to prepare this workbench for the layout of the mold buck. It's not a big deal. It's pretty simple how I do it. But as Jim Lynch said, not everybody knows how I do it, so you'll get to see how I do it. I gotta have a clean bench though to work on. Stick. Two saws that I won't be able to find when I need them. There's the square I won't find when I need it. Tape. Okay, we're ready. Almost. Six viewers, 2 likes. Remember, like, subscribe, share the videos. Share it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Zoom, Snapchat, whatever. Email it to your friends. Super chats help. Consider becoming a member. So I'm going to scrape off the glue boogers that I had on here from the jig that I put on. First off. know that was going to happen. This is a piano stand that I'm working on. Close enough. Okay. This is really not no big mystery. It'll take about the hour to make this mold. I will not sand it. I'm not going to sand it in here because it's foam and it'll make little white beads all over the place. And I can't have that. But we'll lay it out. And I'll give you the rundown of what I am doing. Okay, the nose. Let me get rid of these. The nose is going to be a block. And I've already kind of guesstimated where the cockpit is going to be and how I'm going to cut this. Now I can't cut it here. I'm going to have to do this on a bandsaw. I'll have to do it over John's or take it to St. Louis and cut it along this line. And then I can sand it into shape and it will have that rolled up look in front of the canopy. Now I could make the mold go all the way to here, but then you have a line that's no matter what you do, if you fiberglass the nose or you know, Aerolite, you know, I can't even remember the name of the stuff that I use now. The putty that we use, the blue putty. Even if you fill that, it will always come back in the sun. So what we do is that we hide the seam, the transition, underneath the canopy. So there's only going to be a very small spot on each side of the fuselage under the canopy, which the superfill will hide. So there won't be a line in this. So the back half of this will be molded. So the first thing I got to do is get the tape off this. I think I'm going to take the bottom block off too. We have to get a representation of the outside of the fuselage. Then it has to be cut back 3/32 on both sides. So let me cut this off. And it begins. I had put a drop of CA on that to hold the front. Now, for you guys that don't have any RC wood, go ahead and use some type of store-bought plywood, particle board, whatever type of hardwood. And hardwood really is better for the spine than balsa, because when you put the wet balsa on it, it does tend to warp, but I've got a way around that. I'll show you. So what I'm going to do is here, first thing I'm going to do is clean this up and make sure that it's perfectly flat. So I'm sighting down it to make sure it's flat. Looks pretty good. So we'll get a piece of 1/4 inch. I got some rock hard 1/4 inch stuff. We'll take the heaviest piece I got out of this pile. If this is an RC wood, I don't know what is. Oh man, about dropped it on the floor. So we want the heaviest piece out of this. And then I gotta make sure it's straight. 84. 75, so that's heaviest so far. 85. 83. 86. 90. So they're going up. 83. Okay, 90 is my heaviest piece. Why does it say 79 on there? It's 90. Okay, that's a piece of siding for a house. Let's see, do I have one already made up maybe? I don't think so. This is a mold buck right here for a turtle deck. Well, I probably could use this and it would probably work, but I really want to make it if I was slick, I'd just use that. No, it's too short. The canopies would be too far back for the look I'm trying to achieve. It would be just another Junar. And we don't want that. I want a Continental. So we'll take this here. Turn it over. I'm gonna put this piece of lumber right up here, like so. Turn it over and trace it out. I'm going to need more hands, so I got to have some tape. You guys following along with this build, I hope you're building something as I'm doing this and incorporating some of the techniques I use. I'm not saying this is the only way to do things. I'm saying this is the way I do it, and it turns out pretty good. We'll take that on there like so. Now, holding that on there, we'll trace around this. Okay. Okay, set this aside. We don't screw it up. So now we have a representation of the outside of the fuselage. Well, we're going to have to cut this out and then finger it 3/32 of an inch. This might be more difficult. This is like cutting plywood, this wood. Might have to make a couple of passes. What the hell's that? Is the audio okay? I can't see. That's one thing I hate. I can't see what's going on. Yep, looks like we're okay on audio. Okay. Well, you can tell this one's got some power in it. When I relieved it, it bowed like crazy. Harder woods usually have the most power in it. If you ever tried to get a perfectly straight piece of wood out of a stick like this, I probably should demonstrate how to do that. You can't cut it out of this. You have to sand it out. And it helps if you're at home and have a belt sander. But you can get a perfectly straight piece of wood out of, stick out of a piece of lumber like this, even with as much power as it has in it. You see how much it moved? It moved 1/8 of an inch. So now we'll cut the tail post area. Of course it disappeared. There it is. Okay, we now have a representation of the outside of that fuselage. Hopefully this stayed straight. Yep. We're going to take this piece here and we're going to glue it to the back of this to hold this thing straight while it gets wet. Maybe I'll even do both pieces as a spine. Then when I trim it, I'll break that up. This is going to be a one-time use mold. Okay. Now take some sandpaper and sand anywhere you might have missed the line. Pretty important to get this exact. to the outside representation, and I'll show you why here in a second. Okay, let's check it. Okay, lines up. Yeah, I probably could sand the line off. We'll sand it a little bit. But let's mark this for the bulkheads. So, I just draw a line on each side of the bulkhead. That way we put our brakes exactly where the bulkheads are, so that when I glue the top and bottom on, they glue together. So the bulkhead's there, and the bulkhead's there, and the bulkhead's in the front. When I finger this, and I'm going to show you the finger method again, which I've showed over and over again, I want it to be exactly 3/32 off of this. So when I sand the foam down to it, it represents the inside. And it helps to make a nice smooth line. So, take your pen, come back here to the tail post, use the finger method to draw in 3/32 of an inch. And you can measure if you like, but I've been doing this so long, I'll bet you that's pretty darn close to 3/32. Like so. So now we have to cut this off to the inside line, both sides. Let me get the other side drawn in. Go a little bit there. Nope. That will represent the inside dimension, to the inside of that 1/8 inch. So that when I put the skin on it, it's perfectly to the outside dimension of the fuselage. So now we got to cut this off. I think I'm going to change blades. We need a new blade. Where did they go? There they are. Believe it or not, sharp blades. Hey Gary, sharp blades will save work, and they're safer than a dull blade. If I can pick it up. You can't use the scalpel. This scalpel for doing this type work, because you can't put any pressure on the scalpel at all. It'll break. Too thin, too brittle. So we're going to make 2 passes in this using the finger method again. Okay, that's one side. And because I sanded that, it's a nice smooth arc. It'll take less sanding for the finished area. Now this is going to be a compound curve, so I'm not sure whether I'll have to do compound molding or not. But if it is, it'll be beneficial for you guys. Now you could use this and cut this pattern, trace around this and cut a pattern in a piece of 1/2 inch pine or luan or particle board or whatever, but this should be a perfect representation of the inside. At least that's the plan. So now let's see how we did. So no, well, I guess I probably could sand it up. I don't know whether you can see it on camera or not, but this buck now is narrower than the outside of this. Let me get a piece of 3/32. 3/32 of an inch. So when I mold this around here for the outside dimension, which it works perfect, it should be close. I'm sure there's guys that got other ways to do that, but that's how I do it. So now I'm going to clean this up. We're in 28 minutes. Get it sanded down to the line. Sand the line off. That way it's perfect. This is the, like I say, outside dimension of the mold. So when the sheeting comes down over the top edge of the side here, it'll be the right dimension. I hope this all makes sense. Now to get my steam generator working. Okay, so now is by eye. Everything is by eye. Got this block of foam. I don't have a hot wire here, so I'm going to have to cut this with a knife. We're short on the end, but that's okay. Like I said, everything is El Manuel in this place. So how do I want it to look from the side? This is going to be the outline of this from looking from the top. Like I say, I'm not going to sand this in this apartment because I couldn't get it cleaned up. I can clean it up at home because first off, I own the place, and second off, it's got a slick floor and I can sweep it up. This has got carpet. So there's the top. Now we need the profile from the side. So I want about, I got to measure it, I guess. I want about an inch. Let's make it 1 1/8 higher, so that it has some swoop where the canopy is going to fit down. So be 1 1/8 higher at the front, and then narrow down to 3/8 of an inch at the back. God, I love designing my own airplanes. 1 1/8. Make it 1 1/4 and I can sand. And this is not quite long enough, so we want 3/8 at the back. So let me see what we got here. You got to remember, you're going to be sanding this round, so you got to leave extra. So that's about where I need to trim that wood out, or trim that foam out of there. Okay. Now I gotta see if I can find my number 22 blades. I've seen them around here. That's a scoop. If I was over John's, we'd hot wire that puppy and be done in about 2 seconds. But I'm not, so this is what I got. I can't believe I can't find the blade. Let me move this stuff here and see what's on the bench. Gotta be here. Yep. Well, this ain't a new one, but hopefully it'll cut it. Number 22. For you guys that have a hot wire, the best thing to do would be to hot wire this. And I have a hot wire at home, and John's got a hot wire at his place, but I don't have a hot wire here. So we gotta do what we gotta do. This has a bow in it, so I won't be able to use the stick there, or ruler. some pliers to tighten this thing up. You know, anybody that says that the Excel brand is as good as the X-Acto is full of it. The blades aren't as sharp, the tools aren't as good. I'm going to have little white popcorns over here anyway, and they are hard to get up. I'm going to have to run the vacuum here. I got too many popcorn, too much popcorn going all over the place. Let me vacuum this up. Can't have it. We'll leave this handy because I'm sure there's going to be more. I have to use the jab saw, I guess. Get this cut down across. There we go. Okay, one more time with the vacuum because there's lots of popcorn here. done vacuuming for now. Now you could just glue this foam onto this block, shape it, and mold to it. But you wouldn't have your bulkhead locations in it. So what we need to do is I need to make the bulkheads first. And this is because it's not a set of plans or whatever, it's just out of my head. I can make it any way I want. If you were making it to a set of plans, you would trace out your bulkhead. This is the front former here. We're going to have the back of the cockpit we'll make right in the middle. And the correct way to make these bulkheads, we're not going to do it the correct way, but the correct way, if you want a long-lasting mold buck, is to make them out of plywood. And then coat the plywood with CA. Well, because I'm only going to use this buck one time, I'm just going to go ahead and make them out of balsa coated with CA. Alright, that's good enough. So I got, this is a hard piece of 1/8 inch. Where's my square? It's going to be no more than that high. So this is all by eye. It's that, you know, TLAR, that looks about right. Okay, where'd the square go? I got the little one, but I don't have the one I need. I suppose I could use that one. Okay, that's one. Now we have to make the back one. We have to figure out how high this back one's going to be, and then we can fill in the other two. So this back one, where's my ruler? I really had it with no room. There's the square anyway. Okay, that is right there. And this one. And this one. So I'll make marks on the foam here. This one here is going to be no more than 3/4. So we need a piece 3/4. We got about 14 minutes left in this session. Okay, now, how do you make things symmetrical? Well, let's figure it out. So we're going to measure across here. We have 1.25 inches. So 5/8 is the center line. And up here in front we have 2 1/8. So it's going to be 1 1/16 is the center line. And we'll draw a line across there. Pretty darn close. Double check your work. There's no shame in double checking your work. Okay. So now we don't care what the width of this is. We're just going to make a mark on that. And when it gets glued, it's going to get glued onto this right there on that mark. So let's cut this apart. We'll start trimming. Cut it big because you can always sand it off. You're going to be sanding all this mess anyway. Now, center line to the top. You can take it something like this. That ain't going to work though. Or you can do as I do most of the time, is just eyeball it. Wipe that off. Go out a little bit. Then we're going to cut it out and sand it till it's symmetrical. We're going to put it on the fuselage to make sure that it's going to coincide with what we got. This marking of this is just a starting point. You can sand symmetry better than you can draw it. At least I can. Turn it over, see what it looks like. It's leaning too far that way. Pretty close. Pretty close. Let's see what it looks like on the fuselage. Now most of this will be cut away, so it's about right. It's about right. So we'll set this on here like so. Yep, a little big. That's okay. That's okay. We're in good shape. Now I just glue it onto the buck. Before I add foam in this mess, we're going to have to make a second set of bulkheads to be glued on the fuselage. Now you'll notice that it's hanging over on the edges here. Not a problem. Take your sandpaper and bring it right down flush with the edge. It's pretty close to symmetrical. And I'll adjust this, keep refining it until the skin is done. Okay, we have the front one. Now it's time for the back one. We got 5 minutes. Same process, same stick. Put the stick on there. Make a couple lines. You want to mark the center line. Mark the edge. Cut away what doesn't look like an airplane and you're in good shape. That's way off. There we go. As I stated, you can sand it better than you can draw it, so we have an approximate. We'll just cut away this. I won't get the foam filling tonight, it doesn't look like. I'll explain it to you real quick before we end the show, but You wonder, how am I going to get the bulkheads in between? Well, I'm going to fill the in between with foam, sand down to these two bulkheads, then cut the slots and make the two bulkheads. It's pretty simple. Okay, that's close to start. I'll glue that on there like so. Come on, stick. Must be old glue. And there we have that piece, pretty close to symmetrical. Like I say, it'll get refined before I put the CA on it. So now I need to imagine what it's going to look like on the airplane. So I just take the fuselage, set it up here, and envision that it's going to be a 1/4 inch less than this because there won't be the backer on there. And we'll put this piece here. Perfect. Okay, I'm not going to get to it. It's 1 hour we've been on so far. When we come back, we're going to take this foam, section it up, glue it onto the buck here. I'm going to sand it to shape. I need to cut the 2 slots where the formers go, then trace around and make those formers. And how you get to sand this to shape without tearing up these balsa wood formers is, I'm not going to do it now because I'm not sure that I'm finished sanding the shape on them, but you coat them with CA and harden them up. And as you're sanding your wood, you can hear the CA grind on the sandpaper. Stop, because then you're too far. So if that makes sense. Well, that's all I got for this evening. Of course, like I said, this piece of wood here will get glued on the bottom of this spine to hold it straight while we're molding. Like so. I don't want to do that right now because then I have to have a drill vise or something to hold it in, and I don't have one here. But that's how I do, you know, get the pattern for a one-off prototype, top and bottom mold. I mean, it's all the same. And it doesn't matter what shape you do. If you want a real, you know, compound shape or whatever, you can mold anything. Get the wood hot enough, it'll mold anywhere you want to go. Any questions before we shut her down? I got to eat dinner and get ready, go to sleep, go to work tomorrow. This working crap is getting old. Well, if there's not any questions, I guess I'll shut her down. Till I see you again. Fair winds, tight lines. See ya.